Welcome to Coach My Wellness, a weekly show dedicated to bringing you information about healthy habits and behaviors just for the health of it. Here's your hosts, Joanne and Tammy.
Welcome to Coach My Wellness, just for the health of it. I'm Joanne Orshan.
And I'm Tammy St. Clair.
Thank you for spending time with us today. We've talked about so many issues, Tammy, from why do you need a health coach? What is a health coach? How do we get off the fence? I want to take charge of my own health. How do we achieve peak performance? And what is the big picture? Small steps, SMART goals. These are so many things that we've discussed. And in thinking about things, what it really comes down to is thinking about how do we motivate ourselves and what's that self-determination in order to have this journey be something that we want to change for ourselves instead of changing for others.
Part of self-determination is deciding what you want to do. So not doing something because the doctor said, or your partner said, or your parents said, but because you've recognized that I want to do this because I want to do this for me.
I have so many clients. It's funny that you say that. And they come to me when there's something that's been said to them, primarily through their health professionals, about they're pre-diabetic, they're diabetic, they need to lose weight for hypertension or a dozen other different issues that they might be having. And although people have tried in so many ways to fight this battle on their own, they've not really had success. And they're not really sure how to take action steps in order to make changes. So what happens? People wind up doing absolutely nothing. So I had a new client last night, and when we were talking on the phone about this, she was saying how she has tried absolutely everything, but nothing has worked. And she has well over 100 pounds to lose, pretty significant. And the whole point that I had with her is, well, we need to take this slow and steady, because doing that fast crash weight loss thing is not going to work. But if she was really ready for change, because she knows that she needs to change in order to have a healthier lifestyle for herself, then it's going to take a little bit of time. And this is what I had her think about. And she was like so in once we talked about this. I said, I want you to think about this, that even if you were to really focus on losing 1 pound a week, in a year from now, just think about the fact that if you were just consistent with what you do, then that could be a 52-pound weight loss between now and next year.
Right. And I think people don't realize that because they want everything so quickly. We're Americans who we want it right now. And part of this whole thing about self-motivation and self-determination is that you are deciding for yourself how you want to be.
Well, that's why it's so important to clearly define what one's weight loss goals really are and to write them down. And as a coach, I always talk about the ball of wool. You know where I'm heading with this one, that, you have this big ball of wool and it's got all these strands in there and you have a gazillion thoughts running around in your head and you're not really sure how to identify them or come up with a game plan, and therefore you just wind up doing nothing. And as health coaches, what we do is we work with our clients to pull one piece out at a time to really make sure that the motivation is driven from within so that there is long-term success. And we work with one area at a time. So what we try to focus on with everyone is really about long-term success, lifestyle change, and how we go about that with realistic expectations and having something that's going to work for them in their lives.
And I think going on the what's going to work for them really exemplifies self-determination, because there's 3 elements to self-determination. And you're going to laugh, but we see these in our lives every day. Autonomy. Think about the 4-year-old who crosses their arms and says, "Don't tell me what to do. I don't want to do that." Meanwhile, they need to do something, but as soon as you tell them, "Go do this," they argue with you. We do the same thing as adults. And so sometimes you just have to allow people to have the choice, and then a sense of competence that they can accomplish this.
But that's really all about having realistic expectations.
Right.
If you think about it, so many of us don't. But there are a lot of diets out there and diet products that claim quick and easy weight loss. But the truth is, and you and I both know this as well as many practitioners, that we recommend losing maybe 1 to 2 pounds per week, because that is what's going to help to keep it off and makes it an easier, less stressful process.
Right. And I think the other thing that goes along with that is finding support so that it helps to make the process easier, and so that you're not feeling alone, and that you're on this journey by yourself, and having that confidence that, okay, here's the goal. I chose the goal. It's something that I can do. And my friend Joanne is along with me. So when I'm struggling, I can call her up and say, "Hey, this is what's going on, and I really want to go do this or do that." And finding that support in someone who truly is going to help helps to undergird your self-determination and your self-confidence, so that you know that you're not in it alone.
Yeah, look, the good news is that just a little weight loss of 5 to 10% of your body weight can truly have a large impact on your health. So, for example, if you're 180 pounds, that's just 9 to 18 pounds to lose. If you're 250 pounds, maybe 13 to 25 pounds to lose can make a huge difference in how you feel, what your health state is, and how your clothes are going to fit, right? I would say that with my clients, that within the first 3 months, losing 10 to 20% of their starting body weight is not out of line at all. And what you get out of it is really what you put into it. But setting the realistic weight loss expectations in order to boost feelings of achievement and prevent burnout is really important, to keep it realistic, and just knowing that a moderate amount of weight loss can have a major impact on your health.
Right. And in setting those realistic expectations, you are helping to support the autonomy and the setting of the self-efficacy that people can do it, so that they see, "Oh, I was able to lose this first 9, 10, 11 pounds. Okay, now I can go on to the next 9, 10, 11 pounds." Those are the things that really build that autonomy and that internal motivation to keep going. And that's the thing that needs to happen, because everyone says, "Oh, I just want to be happy." It's like, no, what you're looking for is joy. Happiness comes from the happenings on the outside. They're transient. Happiness is transient. It comes, it goes. You're affected by every wind that blows you this way and that way. Where joy comes from the inside. I'm doing this because I want to. And so having that idea of, oh, yeah, I want to lose weight or be healthy or reduce my sugar intake, whatever it is, because I want to feel better. I want to have this other result. It gets a whole lot easier when the hard times come along, when you don't lose a pound a week. Maybe you stall out and you don't lose anything. Or maybe you're going to a summer barbecue and all of that food is looking really delicious. And you're thinking, "Oh, I'm missing out and I can't have this." Where you can think, well, yeah, but having the fruit is just me taking care of myself, like I would take care of my beloved dog or my cat or something like that.
I'm laughing because I had a conversation with one of my clients this week who just went through celebrating 4th of July weekend. And her husband went to several different barbecues that were given by family members. And she was so proud of herself that she kept on track with her goals for eating well throughout the weekend. And the funny part was her husband said to her, and by the way, he's incredibly supportive of her on this journey, but he said to her, "Is this how you're going to always eat?" And I said, "Well, what is it that he's missing about you indulging with him? Are you afraid that he's going to be expected to eat healthier as well?" I don't know. I just thought it was really funny that people with the best of intentions can sabotage, even though they don't mean it. It's with the best of love in their hearts. However, think about this. I mean, why can't you go to a family event or a barbecue or a friend's house or whatever it might be and still laugh and have fun and enjoy their company and feel full by eating some grilled protein and maybe some fresh vegetables or fruit that's around instead of, all the potato salad and all the other stuff that really doesn't fit into what your game plan is. Yet, the other side of that is in this roller coaster journey of weight loss, as we talk about with our clients, that there has to be time that if you choose to have the potato salad or the macaroni salad, whatever it is, have what you want to have and enjoy it, but just be aware of how much you are having. And this way you don't feel so deprived or that you're missing out. And it truly is not going to affect the bigger picture if you stay consistently consistent 80 to 90% of the time.
Right. But I think the operative word there, though, is choose.
Choose, for sure.
Right? I'm choosing. It's that self-efficacy. It's that motivation. This is what I'm choosing. I know that there's a trade-off in choosing this, and I'm okay with that trade-off because maybe it does mean that tomorrow we are going to a restaurant and I'm not going to have dessert there because I'm having cupcakes and ice cream here at the barbecue because I want to, but that's my choice, right? And having that sense of self-determination, I always tell my clients, are you in the driver's seat or are you in the passenger seat? If you're in the driver's seat and you're choosing what you want to do, you're also directing what destination you're going to get to, right? If I'm in the passenger seat, I'm just along for the ride. I'm powerless. I have very little say in the matter. And when I sometimes put it to them like that, are you under compulsion or over a choice? Are you in the driver's seat or are you sitting in the back seat? It like people all of a sudden go, oh, now I get it. So when we're driving, whether we turn right or left, we don't feel bad if I go one way or the other, if both ways are going to get me to my destination.
Right. And many people who try to lose weight, what always happens? They're setting these long-term outcome goals or things that they want to get to, but they're not celebrating their successes along the way.
Right.
And that's really important. And just remember that focusing on only outcome goals can truly derail your motivation. They can feel too distant and leaving you overwhelmed because it's so far away as far as the end picture. And if you can process some of the goals that you might have for your desired outcome on a shorter term, then that could be very motivational for you and you can see changes. So an example of a process goal might be exercising 3 times a week or movement 3 times a week. Well, what does that mean? It means setting those goals. And we've talked about this before as far as SMART goals, to make sure that the goals that you have are specific, that you can measure them, that they are achievable and realistic and time-based. I have a client that I spoke with this week, and she was very disappointed with herself. And we were talking about it, and her disappointment was that she had planned to exercise 6 days last week and she only got 2 days in. Now, hear what she said. 2 days for many people is a year's worth.
Right.
And it's like, celebrate your success of what you've had. And perhaps why don't we reevaluate what your goals are as far as movement that can be more realistic to focus on based on whatever else you have going on throughout the week. So we readjusted her goals a little bit, which still gives her a feeling of accomplishment and motivation to at least keep on going instead of throwing in the towel as frustration.
Right. And I think when people's goals like that, I'm going to exercise 6 days. Listen, unless you're training for something, that's pretty unrealistic on any level for anybody. When I'm working with clients, especially after their weight loss surgery, after you get past that first 6 months and the big weight drops have happened, now you have to start really working for it. And they get disappointed, kind of like her, in, oh, I didn't lose 7 pounds this week. It's like, no, because your body's smaller. It's not going to be the same. The longer out you go, the more you have to work for it, the less is going to come. But having that, readjusting those and having those smaller goals, which is why once we get going, I often will have them focus on what we call non-scale victories. So that's going on an airplane and being able to put the table down and not hit your belly, or being able to buckle the seatbelt in the airplane without having a belt extender, or in your car, you had to readjust the steering wheel so that it's not rubbing up against your belly. So we begin to look at those things as, hey, these are the achievements that are happening because you're sticking with it and you're seeing yourself, and use these things to motivate so that that internal motivation continues to be there. Part of that internal motivation is self-efficacy, that thought that I can accomplish this. And those are the little things that you use along the way.
Well, of course, and picking a plan that fits your lifestyle is truly important for that. You want to find a plan that you can stick to and avoid some of those plans that would be nearly impossible to follow in the long term. And there are hundreds of diets out there. I mean, every week there's a new diet, there's a new book, there's a new concept. I believe, and I work with my clients on reasonable lifestyle and reasonable eating and making sure that we're getting nutrition. And a lot of these diets that are out there are focused on cutting calories, but reducing your calorie intake, of course, will lead to some weight loss. But dieting, especially the frequent yo-yo dieting, has been found to be a predictor of future weight gain. It just does not work.
Right? How many people have said to you, oh, yeah, I lost 20 pounds, but it all came back and brought a few friends.
Of
right?
course, all the time. I hear it all the time. And my thought process, which has been successful, has been avoiding strict diets that completely eliminate certain foods, because research has found that those with that all or nothing mindset are less likely to lose weight. It's just not,
off, right?
It's just hard to keep off. So
encouraging.
I'm sorry, I was just going to say that if you're eating a lifestyle of low glycemic eating, and for those of you that don't know what that is, it's all about the quality and the quantity of the food that you eat and how it affects your blood sugar levels, and how to make sure that we keep our bodies burning all day long. That's really the key to having success, being full. And unfortunately, I've coached so many women, and the mindset in the beginning is always, well, the less I eat, the more weight that I'm going to lose. And part of that problem is that when you don't fuel your body enough or with the right nutrients to have your body optimally function, then what happens is your body goes into this flight or fright mode and just stores fat. And it's this never-ending vicious cycle of frustration, of someone saying to me, oh, but I've dieted and I'm trying to do this and doing that, and I can't lose any weight.
Right. Because there's an element of not being able to trust their own choices. So again, that is them in the passenger seat, right? I often will encourage my clients to live in the gray, and people don't trust themselves when they live in the gray. They want to we have to be right. So I have to be black or white. It has to be like that. It's all or nothing. And we don't live a life that's all or nothing. We often, in so many other areas, we live in the gray. But around food and weight and health, we don't trust ourselves because we always have been taught, oh, that's a bad food. And I'll often ask my clients, so when did food become a moral being? And they look at me and they're like, what are you talking about? I'm like, well, you said that that's a bad food. Being bad is a moral evaluator. So when did food have a morality? There's not good food and bad food. There's foods that have more energy, a higher energy concentration, and foods that have a lower energy concentration. So my Haagen-Dazs that I love to eat on an occasional basis is a very high energy concentration food. So I have to be very careful about when am I going to have that versus when I'm having some fruit, some strawberries, some blackberries, some raspberries. They're a very low energy food. Doesn't make one bad and one good, because if I can trust myself, then I can make the choice. Today is a day that I'm going to a birthday party or I'm doing this, so I'm going to have the ice cream. Every other day, I choose to have something else. And that's such a mind shift that has to happen. And so many people struggle with that. It's like that intuitiveness about what is it that I want and when am I done and when am I full, all of those kinds of things.
Now, I'm going to elaborate on that a little bit because I think back to 2011 when I went on my own weight loss journey. For those of you who don't know, I've talked about it before. I was a martial artist and I had a foot injury. And within that injury, I had 2 major surgeries. I didn't walk for over a year, and I put on close to 70 pounds of weight and was miserable. And I was one of those people who was embarrassed, who was mortified to see anybody. I hid from the world. And while I was doing that, I was struggling with trying to figure out a way to get some of this unwanted weight off. And I was one of those people that nothing worked. I tried pretty much everything that there was to try in my mind as far as losing that weight. And I was at a business meeting and I met a woman who was a health coach. I never heard of a health coach before. I didn't even know what that was. And I went over to her and I said, I am just really miserable. I am going away on a vacation in 8 months and I really could use some help. And it was the first time I ever reached out to anybody for help. And she said, we can do this and you don't have to do it alone. And that was the big shift for me in knowing that, number one, it was coming from me internally, that I really wanted to make these changes. But I had a sounding board to help me as we walk through this in this lifestyle change. And it was successful. And not only was it successful for me personally, but it was through my experience that I now have this career of helping others to achieve the same. And it makes such a difference when you have a partner to work with you.
Right. And just what you said right there is the whole essence of self-determination, right? You recognize that you had a problem. Then you made the choice about who did you want to seek out? How did you want to go about it? And then you had a support person who was there to help guide you through. Those are really the 3 elements around self-efficacy and self-determination that determine your success, right? If you didn't have one of those 3 legs off of that stool, you wouldn't be here. You'd be someplace else doing something else. And I think so many people, they often leave out one of them. So either they're doing a diet because someone told them that they had to. So that's one leg of the stool gone, if that's that person. They don't tell anybody. Oh my God, I'm not telling anybody. I don't want anybody to know because then they're going to judge me. So now they're not getting any support that they need because they're also not going to a support group, or they're not attending other sessions. And then also they're not being involved. They're not having the things that all work together to make self-determination, which is what will, over the long term, create the environment for that long-term success.
Right. And you know what, Tammy, you just don't have to be perfect to lose weight. You know, if
No,
you have that
you
all or nothing approach, you're less likely to achieve your goals.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're too restrictive, you might find yourself saying, oh, you know, I had a hamburger and fries for lunch, so I may as well have pizza for dinner.
Right.
Instead, you know, try saying something like, I had a big lunch, so I should aim for a healthier dinner. You know, it's how you present it and how you talk to yourself, and avoid beating yourself up when you make a mistake or you're going off plan of whatever that might be. And those self-defeating thoughts are just going to be the thing that is going to hinder your motivation. So forgiving yourself and remembering that one boo-boo is not going to ruin your progress. You know, when you aim for perfection, you will quickly lose your motivation. But by allowing yourself flexibility and forgiving yourself, you can stay motivated throughout your journey.
Right. And it's really important that people understand that, and that if you're listening to us, you don't have to be perfect. That really will undermine everything that you're trying to accomplish in becoming a healthier person.
Well, it's being, you know, it's aiming for not perfection, but progress.
I forgot that. Yeah.
It's about progress, not
it's about progress.
Are we moving forward? Are we moving closer to the goals or further away from our goals? To me, that is really the key here. And the bottom line is being motivated to lose weight is important for long-term weight loss success. You have to be motivated. You have to be psyched about it and understand that you're not doing what you are for it to be a diet that you're waiting for it to end. Lifestyle change is lifestyle change. And that's not easy for a lot of people, which is why being consistently consistent, especially if you're falling off track, is really a key. And people find different factors motivating. So it's important to find out what helps to motivate you very specifically. So remember to give yourself flexibility and to celebrate the little successes along your weight loss journey or your health journey. And don't be afraid to ask for help when needed. There are people out there, such as Tammy and myself, that can help to support you and guide you in your journey. And when it comes from within, it's really not so challenging. And when you have a partner who can work with you, who doesn't judge you, who is there to help build your confidence and support you when things get a little challenged, or celebrate your successes, that's what it's all about. Just having, you know, a really good pal being next to you to help you, guide you.
So this has been a nice full half hour. We're coming right back though, and we're going to talk about self-compassion as a way to bring about that self-determination. You have to learn to be compassionate with yourself in order to be determined, bring that determination to move forward. So stick around. We'll be right back.